Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Rise and Grind. This is Rise and Grind with VinceTagliavia, live with you every Monday through Friday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time to discuss the news and events of the world. And today is January 4th, 2024, and we're going to get right into things. Hope you're all doing well. It's Thursday. We're coming up on the weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope we have a good show tomorrow. I'm starting to plan that, so we'll see. So stay tuned for the Friday show, and we'll continue forward. And by the way, I'm looking forward to this. Thank you all so much for subscribing, and thank you all so much for watching and sharing. I think we've had a great first week, and I appreciate all of you being here. It's really great. And I'm working on making improvements. I'm going to have a new intro, a new this, a new that, a new layout here. Everything's going to be a little better. So stand by and wait for these changes to happen. I think you all will like it. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm just struggling with finding the time, but that's all right. I'll have time here and there and this weekend for sure and into the future. But man, am I busy. Yesterday, I did not get my studio work done behind the scenes that I wanted to, but I got everything else done. So I guess that's good. Anyway, I hope you all have great productive days for the rest of this week, and we'll enjoy our weekend too coming up here soon. And of course, I forgot to play my intro clip again. Oh, well. Anyway, let's get on with it. We're going to start with finance. A very important topic. The markets opened high today, not high, but not negative. They opened in the positive today. Crypto did some crazy moves. Bitcoin's at 43,889 right now, and kind of leveling out. We'll see what happens. Everything else is up a bit. Let's look at gold and silver. Gold is at $2,051.90. Silver's at $23.16. And we got a lot of data today. The Fed minutes. Let's start there. Of course, this is a lot of data, and it ends up changing later down the road. So we're just going to look at it, see what they're saying, what's up. We still get a general idea of what's going on here. Officials saw policy rate likely at or near a peak. And several said the rate could stay at the peak longer than anticipated. And this just brings me back to when inflation started creeping in, and they said, this inflation's just transitory. Nobody worry. And here we are, 2024. And they're saying, we could be sitting here for a while with these rates. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, we all could have predicted that. And we did, didn't we? We also have Fed officials in December saw rate cuts likely, but path highly uncertain. All officials said clear progress was made in 2023 towards the Fed's 2% inflation target. And by the way, I'm reading this summary by Genevieve Rock-Decter at GR Decter on Twitter. I appreciate her just kind of summarizing this stuff. I have other articles too, which, by the way, all of these articles that I'm discussing and all these tweets and all this data and sources and all this is going to be published on my Substack in 1 hour. So if you subscribe to my Substack, you'll get all of that written information and access to all those links for free, just so you have access. If you hear something you want to share, you could find it really quickly instead of having to search the internet for it. Or go to my Twitter, and I retweet a lot of this stuff, so you can find it there. But The best place is probably Substack if you're interested in that. All right. Anyway, we also have it says here that officials saw an upside risks to inflation as having diminished. Inflation still above the goal. Many participants noted that an easing in financial conditions beyond what is appropriate could make it more difficult for the committee to reach its inflation goal. Gosh, this is just not good, folks. Improvements in labor supply, easing demand contributed to better balance in the labor market. Good. They say. I think we have more on the labor market coming up. Officials said the labor market tight, but continued to come into better balance. Consumer spending had been strong, supported by healthy balance sheets. I think that's coming to an end here, but December did end on a high. The year did end on a high, didn't it? Most participants expected restrictive policy stance to continue to soften spending, reduce inflation. Officials said the balance sheet runoff had so far proceeded smoothly. Fed officials see end of balance sheet runoff in sight. This was a big one. This is kind of scary. So, and we knew this is looming. Fed staff in their review of the financial sector warned that given the large volume of commercial mortgage-backed securities coming due in the next few quarters, delinquencies would likely surge again. So delinquencies on the horizon. I hope y'all are in an okay position. This is going to get rough. This is commercial, but still, some of you have businesses and whatnot. Gosh. One big takeaway is that they anticipate U.S. economic growth will run below the potential rate over the next 2 years, only getting back to potential in 2026. U.S. companies ramped up hiring in December last month. Private payrolls increased by 164,000 last month, the most since August. Job gains, leisure and hospitality, education and healthcare. Job losses, manufacturing for the 4th straight month. Wage growth cooled, only 5.4% pay bump from a year ago, but for those who changed jobs, wages rose 8%. Labor market not cracking yet. Isn't that interesting? People that keep the same jobs, they are statistically getting lower pay bumps than people who will jump from job to job. And it's not necessarily great. I mean, to jump job from job, at least that was always the way I looked at things. And you see it, though, in the younger generations, their resumes will have like 10 jobs in a year or whatever, and they jump around like crazy. Kind of the way things are now. It's interesting. An interesting dynamic there. And we're going to have a long finance section today because all this data is coming out and breaking this morning, and it's good to establish where we're at right now, what the Fed is saying here in January. So this was kind of funny. I mean, it's not funny, but Genevieve Rockdechter on Twitter posted this comparing December to January. December 2023, I guess the general sentiment was stocks only go up, kind of like 2020, and it's kind of like 2020 actually, yeah. So in December 2023, stocks only go up. She wrote, S&P closes near record highs. The NASDAQ soars over 5%. Bitcoin rips up 12%. The chance of rate cut in March 2024 was over 86%. Investors were euphoric. Now, January 2024, stocks only go down. The S&P has been down every day except today. It's a little up. NASDAQ has dropped 2.5%. Barclays downgrades Apple. Chance of rate cut in March 2024, 71%. Investors are depressed. Life comes at you fast. And that's just the sentiment right now. Every day things change. But thank you, Amanda, for retweeting my show. I appreciate that. It's very kind. Yeah, if you guys would, please share with anyone who might enjoy this. Thank you, Black Jester, for the donation as well. Good morning to you, and good to see you guys tuning in over there on YouTube. You've got Toad and 11. You really need a foxhole channel. Okay. Yeah, I need a foxhole channel. Indeed. Maybe I'll do that. I appreciate the recommendation. I could do that. Initial jobless claims end 2023 at all year lows. I think we talked about that. This was pretty wild, a wild figure here for the typical American family. And this, there was a study done, and let's just have Peter Stonge kind of lay it out there for us in the first minute or less of his video. This is at PROFSTONGE on X.com if you want to follow him. And he also has a website. We're not connected, but it is... let me just check it out for him. Just give him some credit here. Credit where credit's due. He does great finance work. How am I not following him? That's weird. PeterStonge.com. Videos and articles are there. So, and also profstonge.com. PROFSTONGE.com. Anyway, let's watch this. Let's see what he has to say about money.
The typical American family needs $11,434 per year in additional income just to maintain the same standard of living.
Oh, sorry.
The typical American family needs $11,434 per year in additional income just to maintain the same standard of living they had when Joe Biden took office.
We'll just leave it right there in a nutshell. The typical American family needs over $11,000 per year in additional income to maintain the same standard of living. This comes down to food costs, transportation costs, housing, energy, which together make up 80 cents on every additional dollar spent. And we're feeling it. People feel it, especially if you're like me and you're living, paycheck to paycheck a lot of times, just trying to pay bills and survive. And then a lot of you have kids and things, and man, it gets rough. Or on a fixed income, this is crazy. I know a lot of people who are on fixed incomes, and it's just like they're going crazy if they don't have extra support that they've accumulated. It's just nuts, man. I'm talking about retired people on this kind of... we have an issue here. Bear with me. I disconnect with the stream. Bear with me. Please stand by. Stand by. Testing. Okay, I think we're good. I apologize, folks. We get statistics like this now. This generation of millennials have earned the most of any generation, but they still hold way less wealth, largely because cost of living has outpaced wage increases, and that's not good. That's not good at all. They're making more money, but they have less money. Yeah, it's due to all these circumstances. I thought this was cool to look at. Top stock picks for 2024. Number one in here, and this is just an X thread, previously known as Twitter. You've got Apple. They've got the Vision Pro coming out, which is a headset that is like a virtual reality headset, and that people are excited about. And Apple performed well last year, so that's probably a big one in people's portfolios. If there's any investors out there or stock traders, then you know this. Let's see what else people are saying here. Tesla. Sean Snyder said, with the majority of the major automakers shifting back to hybrids from fully electric, it just clears the path for Tesla to move farther and farther ahead. So they're a little bullish on Tesla. This person says, ask Jim Cramer and do the opposite. Of course, Cramer is talking about Bitcoin and how it's undefeatable, and people are like, Bitcoin's dead, because everything he says, the opposite happens. This one's a risky one, maybe a joke. CRISPR Therapeutics. Interesting. This person says cash for now. They must be a little skittish, and I think that is a general sentiment with a lot of investors. They're like, ew. But holding cash is risky too. I mean, anyway, let's move on here. We've got Walgreens in the headlines. They've slashed their dividend as quarterly profit beats the estimates. The stock lost about 30% in 2023. They're doing a huge slash of their dividend, which is it pays out. I don't know how often their dividend pays out, but basically you get money back for each stock you own in your portfolio. How much are they cutting it? I think it was something like 80% or something crazy. Well, let's just read. I don't have the exact figure. Actually, let's just see if somebody pulled it out of there for me. Yeah, Walgreens slashes dividend 48%. They still have a dividend, but they've cut it almost in half. Huh. Onward. We've also got Google. Google likely to lay off 30,000 employees post new AI innovation. Google layoffs, really? And this is per CNBC TV 18. Wow, let's see if we can find any other articles on this real quick, just to verify. Big layoff techs shattered industry worker confidence. Tech layoffs in the spotlight again as 2024 kicks off with Xerox job cuts. Google contemplates layoffs as AI advances in AI and ad sales division. So the AI advances in ad sales are causing this Google contemplation of layoffs. Wow. And these are recruiters and things. Interesting. How is Europe doing? Let's take a quick look at this. RT.com wrote this article. The Eurozone recession likely. S&P, the Purchasing Managers Index, has been in decline for 7 consecutive months. Business activity in Europe's 20-nation single currency bloc continued to contract at the end of 2023 as a downturn in the dominant services industry stretched into the final month of the year. Data compiled by S&P Global has revealed. The Flash Composite Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, for the bloc, a measure of manufacturing and services activity, was revised up for December to match November's 47.6 after a preliminary estimate of 47.0. However, the gauge remained below the 50 mark, which separates growth from contraction for a 7th consecutive month. So they're like, recession's likely. It looks like you've had a recession for 7 months, and they're working on semantics here on how they're defining recession. It's recession. It's receding. Things are bad. Let's just say it. They won't say it. They just want to pretend everything's fine and then make things fine and pretend nothing was ever wrong. This is crazy. And the data shows that the Eurozone saw a contraction of 0.1% in the third quarter of 2023 and likely shrank again last quarter, having met the technical definition of a recession. There you go. Meanwhile, the Services Business Activity Index moved up to a 5-month high of 48.8 compared to 48.7 recorded in November, as demand was seen to further weaken in the euro area. So it's increasing, but it's still in that recession zone. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of how they get you. Things are getting good. Things are getting good. It's like you're on the ground and you're starting to stand up and you're saying everything's fine, but you're not quite healed yet. It's kind of like the situation. This is how I see it. And they kind of manipulate it too. Things are going better. Things are going great compared to how bad they were. They were that bad. That's how I look at it. Anyway, onward here. We've got a massive surge in shipping costs because of the situation in the Red Sea with the Houthi attacks. And let's take a quick look here at some of that information. We've got container spot shipping rates jumping 173% due to ship rerouting in the Red Sea. Suez Canal traffic saw a 28% decline over the past 10 days. Despite the U.S. coalition in the area, according to Bloomberg. And the U.S. has its coalition in the Red Sea, and they say that it's strictly a defensive position in order to protect the innocent. And that's me paraphrasing, but that is the message that I interpreted it. So what else? Carriers diverted over $200 billion in trade from the Red Sea due to the Houthi militant threats. Shipping a 40-foot container from Asia to Northern Europe now costs over $4,000, which is up 173%. So this used to be like $1,000 or like $1,200. Now it's $4,000. Shoo. Yeah, it actually used to be less than 1,200 at one point, November, October of last year. Oh my gosh. It's important to note that cost of shipping from Asia to Northern Europe and to Mediterranean cost 2 times more than the levels in January 2019, but are still well below their peaks during the pandemic. Okay, not good still. Supply chain issues will probably stem from this. Yeah, I mean, this is going to cause delays because they can't use that little shortcut there. They're rerouting all the way around the Horn of Africa. They're going around Africa instead. It takes much longer, and it costs much more, which is why it costs. That's why the prices are going up. We have a map here showing some of the shipping traffic I want to share with you if you're watching video here, which, by the way, if you're not watching video, you're listening to audio. So if you don't know, not the audio listeners, but the video listeners, you could get this in podcast. Podbean has it available. Here's a nice map. Map of the day. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. Container ships heading toward Europe and or North America with almost all avoiding the Red Sea, circled here in red. More than 2 weeks after the launch of the U.S.-led Prosperity Guardian, the Houthis still rule the Red Sea. The source, Javier Blas. So instead of these ships going right through here, boop, they're going all the way around Africa. It's a longer distance. It's a more costly distance. And this is kind of separating the West from the East with trade in more ways, making more distance. And I think benefiting the BRICS nations, which is Russia, India, Brazil, China, South Africa. And they've just been joined by a lot of these Middle Eastern countries this week. So they've kind of got the upper hand as far as the population under their trade compared to the West, which is highly concerning. And there's nothing that really could be done about it except what we see, and that's war. And it's not pretty. It's not fun. And then we have China. China steps up aid for regional banks as economic risks mount. So they're just trying to stay afloat, man. So I expect more bank failures, more craziness. Man, I hope things don't get too bad, man. I say that every day. I'm just like, gosh, I don't know. Let's take a quick look at the chats. Thanks for following, FBI Sun. Good morning. And good morning, everybody else. Mr. Plum, good to see you. How are you? Thanks for being here. And Raja, good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. All right. Let's real quick talk about this. There was a Gallup poll that concluded obesity and diabetes are at record highs in the U.S. Not good. So that is because of processed foods, lack of movement, etc., etc. And of course, if you read some articles, they'll just tell you it's genetic. There's nothing you could do. You're just unhealthy forever and just destined to be. But I don't believe a lot of that. I mean, I think there's a lot we could do to be healthier. So keep that in mind. We see this headline too. More than 140 drug brands will have their prices hiked heading into 2024. Zero Hedge wrote an article on that. And I'm sure they're just trying to recoup that money because people don't want to take their jabs anymore. I don't know, though. That's just me speculating. Let's talk about this. We had a shooting today as people went back to school. This is a horrible situation. Multiple law enforcement agencies responded to a Perry High School after reports of a shooting. I believe the shooter has been declared dead in a self-inflicted wound. Police were responding to the shooting at a high school in Midwestern U.S. state of Iowa on Thursday morning, authorities said, though there were no immediate confirmation of any victims. They had a news conference just a little bit ago this morning, and they don't have the status, but I think one person was killed, and I'm not 100% sure. The story's still sort of developing. Let's see if we could find a quick update on this situation here. Maybe it was just the deranged person that died. But they had a helicopter airlifting people out and everything, so maybe it was just injured. 2 teachers said the principal of the Iowa high school was shot, according to the Des Moines Register. And this is according to Steve Lookner on X.com. Teacher reports seeing principal shot. My goodness. Wild. This is just horrible. The first day they're back from holiday, I guess. Is that right? Or at the first week? I'm not sure of their schedule, but gosh, horrible. And then I saw this article on Axios.com, which I go to Axios once in a while. I mean, if you look at their some of their stories, it's like, okay, this looks like some factual information about certain things, fine. But then I see stories like this, and it makes me wonder if it's just baloney. They claim companies are backing away from DEI. They wrote here that laudable goals like achieving equity and diversity and making people feel included have become weaponized terms, and now corporate America is navigating the minefield. It says why it matters. The year ahead will be pivotal for corporate diversity efforts, such as attacks against DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion will likely intensify. But for many employers, maintaining a diverse workforce where employees feel included is a key part of attracting and retaining workers. Yeah, they're not getting rid of this stuff. They might rebrand it. Whoops. Yeah, they might just rebrand this kind of thing, but this all means that the way DEI happens inside companies is changing. Some firms, like Blackstone, are focusing on hiring for socioeconomic diversity and on changing job requirements to find more diverse talent without targeting a specific race or ethnicity, Fortune recently reported. This is probably because of people like James O'Keefe, who exposed the bias of just hiring based on skin color instead of actually hiring based on experience and this kind of thing. Interesting. He got insiders from companies to release footage a couple weeks ago, if you missed it. All right, let's talk a little bit about politics. We've got Biden. He just came out with a ad, the first ad of 2024. And boy, this is concerning. It is, to me, this is not helping the situation. This is dividing the country when it should be brought together. But here's a little part of his ad. Oh gosh.
There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy. All of us are being asked right now, what will we do to maintain our democracy? History's watching. The world is watching. And most important, our children and grandchildren will hold us responsible. The Vice President and I have supported voting rights since day one of this administration, and I ask every American to join me in this cause.
There's an extremist movement, and then he has January 6th and all this stuff there. Just absurd. Absolutely absurd. Wow. Crazy, and then radical people see this and it's just Wow, thank you so much for the donation. FBI Mom, 2 donations. Thank you, FBI Mom. Thank you, Black Jester, as well. Thank you so much. Very generous. I appreciate that. Race time. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, that ad sickens me, man. It's just horrible. It's horrible. Tucker talking about Nikki Haley. Let me know what you guys think about her, but this is what Tucker says. You thought Democrats were going to dump Biden for Gavin Newsom, but they're not. They're backing Nikki Haley instead. And he had a discussion with Ron Swamy and posted it on X yesterday. Very interesting. And Elon Musk said the same thing. Interesting. Yeah. Vince Langman has a funny comment here. Nikki Haley is the Paul Ryan of Chuck Schumer's. It's pretty good. Nikki Haley flip-flops. It's all a big scam, man. They're putting these people in there. They're all horrible options. I see people going on about Nikki Haley, and I see people going on about Ron DeSantis and all these different candidates and potential candidates over time. And to me, they're all just garbage. They all maybe may look good on the surface, and a lot of people might like them, but I just don't feel right about it, man. I don't. I think it's all kind of corrupt. It's all kind of the two wings of the same bird with a lot of them. I think the only really decent option is Trump for me, but that's just me. And a lot of others, apparently, actually. That's the funny part. Onward. Biden DOJ sues Texas to kill a law decriminalizing illegal immigration. They're just doing everything they can to stop anything being done about people crossing that border. Yeah, that's right. The Biden DOJ is suing Texas to kill a law criminalizing illegal immigration. Can't make this stuff up. And then they don't talk about it either. They just lie. Where was I? We have a little story from O'Keefe Media Group. O'Keefe Media Group, they do great work, a lot of undercover journalism and whatnot, and whistleblower activities. Apparently, O'Keefe's migrant expose shows that U.S. taxpayers funding an NGO run by former British minister was shipping illegals into America. And this was published about 20 hours ago by James O'Keefe III. He wrote, Secret Migrant Center Exposed Part 1. And there is a video. I will just tell you what he wrote here real quick. He said that video shows facility run by International Rescue Committee, Rescue Org, busing thousands of migrants, refugees in quotes, every hour on the hour to Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. Migrants tell us that they crossed the border illegally as IRC given $415 million from feds to give the pretense of refugee status and fly them on flights out of Terminal 3 and 4. Thomas Robles, an IRC staffer, called us domestic terrorists and reported us to the police for asking questions. Wow, that's interesting. They called them domestic terrorists. I mean, this is the kind of, I think, thing that is encouraged from the Biden administration. I mean, look at the ad we just watched. I think that they're trying to make people on edge. They're trying to make people fight each other. I really do think that they're trying to destabilize the communities further, maybe so they can come in and save the day or something. Or maybe so they could avoid election day. I don't know, man, but they're definitely, I think, fueling the divide. Sources and insiders gave us the information that brought us what you see in this video. If you work for the airlines and the bus companies, the government, NGOs, or if you have confidential information that could shine light on what's really going on, you could contact the O'Keefe Media Group. They've got good lawyers and whatnot protecting them, and they know their First Amendment rights, that's for sure. But yeah, so the migrant refugee facility worker was trying to bribe the journalist. Unbelievable. Dozens of Ukrainian and Chinese passports were found at the U.S. southern border, according to Representative Matt Gaetz, who took a picture and shared it on X.com. Here's that picture. Very curious situation. I think maybe let's just take it at face value and assume that a bunch of Ukrainians and Chinese people are coming over that border along with people from every other country. My gosh. And Representative Matt Gaetz is very outspoken about this situation, which is good. Onward. It's not just the U.S. who's under pressure from all this immigration. We've also got here a story shared to me, Dublin riots. And of course, I have an issue. I can't open up this link. It opens up for like a half second here. What's going on? Come on. Oh, the Irish are frustrating at their housing and they're rioting. That's the story. Dublin. They don't cover this in the mainstream. They're not telling us this stuff. But we looked at those riots happening in Germany as well, right? Not riots, but the farmers protesting in their tractors. My gosh, just massive protests. We also have this, Italy. We've got Italy. The natives in Italy are avoiding their own cities because they have been overwhelmed by fake refugees. Watching the decline of Europe is extremely sad. I am not sure they could turn this around, even if they tried mass deportations. The fake refugees would burn everything down. That's Wall Street Silver on the situation. Milan Cathedral in Piazza Duomo invaded by Muslim immigrants. There are no Italians and women. The situation is more serious than we thought, said Radio Genoa. And they posted this video. It's just like they're partying in the streets and dancing at the cathedral. I guess some kind of protest or gathering or party going on here. Standing on objects. Yikes. And it's kind of the same for our country. I mean, are we already, the damage is already done, or what? What can we do about this situation? It's getting worse by the day, by the way, massively. President Trump released summaries of 2020 election fraud. It included information from Georgia, Wisconsin, Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. A lot of information. The leading report published it on X.com. You could probably find it on Trump's Truth Social as well if you want to look at all of this information. Georgia, Wisconsin, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Look at this, just lists and paragraphs of the fraud. I wonder, he has a lot of information, man. Man, time is flying. Let's see. We've got this interesting article. Thank you for those who share some of these stories with me. I appreciate that. And if you want to give me a heads up, you could always contact me on Twitter. Just search my name. It's right here at the bottom of the screen. You can also find me at my website. If you go to the description, it is in there. And my email's in there. And you can also contact me in the live chats. I don't know where else, but that's the best place. Is probably my website. Anyway. 5 major threats to U.S. national security in 2024. I think we could all make some guesses here. Let's look at what they say. Number 1, the expansion of the Israel-Hamas war, which is still ongoing, and it's not good. Not good at all. We don't see any end in sight. The conflict over Taiwan, and China. We've had those spy balloons flying over Taiwan. We've got the rhetoric from China saying we're going to unify Taiwan with China or whatever. Oh, and then we've got number 3, the expansion of the Russia-Ukraine war, which we'll get into that. You know, it looks like all these things are risks indeed, and that they're going to get worse here in 2024. Domestic extremist group attacks, which we woke up this morning and had a shooting at one of our schools in our country. which could be categorized as that by some. We also have outside election interference. What about, it's funny, they say outside election interference. What about internal election interference? What about, other things? The election's a big one. Absolutely. I agree. A lot of things. Let's move on. We'll talk about this a little more. I missed this the other day. Apparently, we had several state capitals evacuated after bomb threats. And it was interesting. One of those being California, the California state capitol. It had pro-Palestine protesters occupying the state capitol, shutting it down. And we have a little clip of that. Here they are. Yeah, there they are. They've got... okay, I'm sorry, I'm not showing you. Here we go. Here they are. We don't need to hear them chanting, do we? Yeah, this is what's going on. And a lot of people are like, excuse me, aren't these insurrections? And then they're just allowed to happen. Why isn't there any type of law and order? Just like January 6th, where Trump called for security and then that was thwarted and there was no security. And then everybody took pictures in the Capitol. And why don't they just clean it up and squash it right when it starts up? But they they want this destabilization. They want it to be displayed. They want it to get bigger. I think so. And I think it's in the build up to this election. I think they want maximum destabilization in order to scare people away from the polls, right? Because what do you think is going to be around town when people are going to go vote? It's going to be protesters, right? Remember last election, this is kind of the same thing. We had all these people being intimidated from voting, at least in states like Washington State. I could say that for sure. Oh my gosh. That's just my guess. I don't know. I missed this too. This was published yesterday. All news pipeline. Hackers attack America's water supply. Hits multiple utilities in several states. Cyber attacks can do more damage to the United States than bullets, bombs, or ballistic missiles can. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Cyber attacks. And we've got a lot. We have a lot of examples of this happening all throughout last year. And a lot of times it was blamed on foreign actors in China and Russia and elsewhere. Just wild. I'm speculative anytime they say, oh, definitely Chinese. Oh, definitely Russian hackers. Oh, yeah, they're, I'm just skeptical. And we all should be with how news has been going. Onward. Nearly out of time here, but I want to talk a little bit more about world news and then we'll close out. France is calling on France is making calls to avoid escalation in Lebanon and Iran, according to the U.S. State Department. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna agreed to seek steps to avoid a wider Middle East war following strikes in Lebanon and Iran. Massive strikes, by the way. The State Department said this Thursday. In a telephone call the day before, the two top diplomats discussed the importance of measures to prevent the conflict in Gaza from expanding, including affirmative steps to de-escalate tensions in the West Bank and to avoid escalation in Lebanon and Iran, the State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said. Ugh. Horrible, horrible, horrible. People are calling the attacks in Iran a false flag, where I think about 100 people were killed. My goodness. We also got the Wall Street Journal. Russia plans to buy short-range ballistic missiles from Iran. We talked about the top 5 things that could not be good for 2024, and one of which was the escalation of the Russia-Ukraine war. Well, here you go. Russia planning to buy more weaponry from Iran. We've also got the Russian Defense Ministry saying that Russia destroyed 10 Ukrainian missiles over the Crimean Peninsula. And then we've got Xi in the mix of China. He sends his condolences to the Iranian president on the terrorist attack, the Chinese state media calls it. Wow. Yeah. Well, we'll keep our eye on all this stuff and more. Of course, yesterday we had the landslide of the Giuffre v. Maxwell case. If you guys want to look into that, then on my Substack, I have the link to the court listener docket for that case. I have the full nearly 1,000 pages of those documents, as well as a couple articles of what is known so far. And you could find that linked in the description in my at my Substack, and I didn't put it in the description in my Rumble, did I? Let me pull that up real quick and share it just in the chat for anybody who's interested, and it'll publish here in 10 minutes. So let me pull that up. It's what is my Substack? I think it's VinceTagliavia.substack.com. That's what it is. I'll put it here. Can I put this here? I can. I'll put it here in the Rumble chat as well if you want to follow that. It's just all of the notes and links from my show and more that I don't discuss. I might get into that more on another day. Thank you, FBI Mom, for your support. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You guys follow me on X and share this video or share my channels with people that might enjoy it. I appreciate that. And Raja says, oh, they are so entertaining. I wish I knew how to send birds through mail. What are you talking about? Oh, you guys are talking about chickens and things. Oh, great. Love it. Ooh, you've got chickens hatching. Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started. Cool. All right, y'all. I've got a lot to do today. I got to get back to work or continue with the stuff, and I'm sure you do too. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for subscribing everywhere, and I appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Tomorrow is tomorrow Friday? Yeah, tomorrow's Friday, so tune in and take care. God bless. Godspeed.